So thank you, Dr. Johnson, for being with us today. And so we have several questions, as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of now what's called the McLeod Awards. But the first question I have is just to tell us a little bit about yourself and your role previously at Washington University.
Yes, I came to Washington University in 1967 after I had completed my undergraduate degree at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania. And I was a member of the initial cohort of the Consortium for the Study of Graduate Business that was created in the late 1960s to bring African American males, specifically at that time, into the business school, into the graduate business program. And I spent the first year there in that program, decided that that wasn't for me. I was involved with the formation of the Association of Black Collegians, a student organization that is still there today, now as the Association of Black Students. And I was the first chairperson of that organization. We later became very active with university affairs in terms of trying to promote the inclusion and the acceptance of Black students in the university. There was a great deal of marginalization, discrimination that we experienced as students. I understand that those issues remain today. We advocated for the workers who were on campus. We sought to expand the curricular offerings at the university to include more about the African American and African experience, and to advocate for greater um, higher admissions of students of color, uh, increased hiring of faculty and staff, and for a number of other issues that would make the campus more inclusive, more accepting, and more relevant to the African American experience and to the people in the local and national and international communities. So I was there between 1967 and I left in 1984. In the process, I earned um, 4 degrees from Washington University, 2 masters, a PhD, and a second bachelor's. And I also was a member of the Black Studies faculty uh, during that time, joining in 1970 as an adjunct professor, and then eventually got on a tenure track as an assistant professor, specializing in education and in the Introduction to African American Studies courses there. And I was also very active in the formation of what we then called the Institute of Black Studies, which was a community outreach arm of the Black Studies program on campus. And I was quite active in a number of community um, initiatives as well.
Thank you for sharing that. So with the inception of the Black Honors Awards in 1971, 72, I'd like to know what was the initial inspiration or vision for this actual award
The
ceremony?
basic idea was to inform and inspire. The inform part was to help people become more aware of and knowledgeable about the contributions that a great number of African Americans and Africans made to the advancement and liberation of African communities around the world. And so in the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s, not a whole lot was known by African Americans or other people about the people who um, went to great sacrifices and great lengths to improve the condition of the African or the Black experience, as well as the overall condition of humanity. And so as I learned more about these people, I wanted to share that information with others. And so one purpose was to name awards after these historic figures as a way to inspire students to emulate and to carry on that work. And so the inspiration then was to let students know that there were people who came before us who sacrificed a great deal to make it possible for us to be where we were, and to honor those students who were uh, making contributions to the campus community, to the larger community, both in St. Louis and also to the international and national communities. And so we had a good number of talented and creative students then, as we still have today, I'm sure, there at Washington University, very intelligent, creative people. And it was to help them direct and to target their skills and talents, not just for their own personal development, but also for the greater good of our society, particularly those who were disadvantaged, those who were marginalized, and those who were suffering from uh, the enormous amount of problems that we have in our society due to injustice and racial inequalities.
Thank you. That's a big lift, and we're glad that you set the foundation here at Washington University to continue that work as well. In this initial form of the award ceremony, um, how many people were involved with this effort?
Um, I initiated it and I brought it to the faculty of the Black Studies program, and we adopted the idea. And then we started identifying students and getting nominations and the like. I do recall some of the early ceremonies were very large. We had a good turnout. We used Graham Chapel, and we had a full house there in in that facility. So I don't remember all of the details, but the program grew over the years, involving other faculty members and student groups. And I believe, as you mentioned, the name changed. I think the intent remained fairly uh, much the same over the years, but we may have had other categories or other ways in which we got different groups of students involved, graduate students, and we may have extended the recognition beyond the initial categories to include other types of activities.
That's great. Thank you for that, sharing that history. And then for the final question we have here is, if you could just share any closing thoughts that you would have for the faculty, staff, and students at Washington University around these awards and Black excellence.
Yes. One is achievement. The people who were the inspiration for these awards were people who had great accomplishments in their life. They were highly accomplished professionals, as well as people who made great contributions to humanity. And so the idea was to strive for excellence, strive for accomplishment, strive for advancement, and to be aware that we were not the first group of talented people to grace the campuses of institutions like Washington University. We happen to have certain opportunities that our predecessors did not have, and we were in a position to use the skills and talents that we developed through this type of exposure to help others. And so our responsibility today is to pay it forward. We can't, we can honor those who came before us, but we can't repay them. But we can pave the way for continued success for other people who would be denied these types of opportunities. So very simply, pay it forward, contribute, um, be responsible, be aware of how we got to where we are, and help others to achieve in life.
Those are very inspiring words and a great charge. Dr. Johnson, I want to thank you for taking time with us today.
You're welcome.